and welcome to the Sunday Guardian show by Joyeeta Basu. Viewers, as you know, Mr. Trump is on a rampage. First of all, he talks about the obnoxious, how obnoxious India's whole approach to trade is, about how trade barriers are. He threatened us with a 25%, that he has been talking about, 25% tariff. Apart from that, he has also threatened us with some kind of a penalty because we buy Russian oil and because we have had a military relationship with Russia, okay, which perhaps predates Mr. Trump, or anyway, that's not the point here. The thing is that, and now on Thursday morning, he came up with two tweets, or rather, whatever truth social posts he makes, where he talked about, how Pakistan, he is going to establish some kind of an invest in Pakistan for oil exploration, and maybe Pakistan will one day be selling oil to India. And then suddenly there was another post where he was, in fact, two more posts saying that India and US, it's a huge trade deficit. We do not have any trade with them anyway. And then he called us a dead economy. Okay, I mean, the dead economy. What is wrong with him? From 1st of August, anyway, the tariffs are coming in, and we are anyway negotiating with them. Rounds have already taken place, and now he's suddenly this outburst, this outrageous posts that are coming from the US president that almost seem personal. To make sense of this, I've got a very special guest with me, Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee. Ambassador Mukherjee, welcome to this show.
Thank you so much, Joyeeta. Pleasure.
Yeah. So, can you please make sense for our viewers? What exactly is Mr. Trump doing?
I don't know whether Mr. Trump himself can make sense of what he's doing. So asking me to make sense, what I would undiplomatically call nonsense, maybe Joyeeta is too much for me to do. But let me try and navigate a careful route in the middle of these confusing messages. Uh, you missed out on the two last messages which came. One was where he said that there is this great country called Pakistan, from where we are going to set up an American company to look at their huge oil resources.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point, India should start buying oil from Pakistan. Then a furious response has come from the head of the Baluchi opposition to President Trump. It's now all over social media, where he said, "Dear President Trump, you were talking about using Pakistan's oil resources. Let me assure you that Pakistan Punjab has no oil resources. The oil resources are in Balochistan, which is an independent country, and we are not in any position to allow any Pakistani agreement with you regarding our own oil resources. We are in the meantime awaiting clarification from China, which also eyes those same oil resources and which would not, I presume, like such a comment coming from President Trump regarding Pakistan's oil resources in Balochistan, a disputed territory where a civil war is going on, and where several Chinese have met a nasty end in Balochistan. Um, and everybody knows that if there's one weakness that our American friends have, that is that they hate putting boots on the ground on one hand, and they don't like body bags coming home. If body bags start coming home, they immediately leave the place where they had gone into. If you look back in history, whether it was Vietnam or it was Afghanistan, um, I don't see them putting their boots on the ground in Balochistan, given the kind of response, furious response, given within 15 minutes of President Trump's. And these messages are coming in at the dead of night from Washington, D.C. I was calculating that probably he's up the whole night sending these messages. To come to the Indian context, Joyita, uh, a very balanced message was put out last evening by the government of India, which we all saw, which talked about how will not negotiate away its core national interests. but will try to make a trade agreement which is beneficial to both sides and which both sides can live with. Now, these threats which are coming, including on Russian oil, including on Russian defense equipment, uh, a lot of interesting things have happened since these threats. First of all, the stock market, which initially reacted, has calmed down. That's very interesting. It's calmed down. Secondly, there is speculation that he is doing this because he thought that maybe Prime Minister Modi would telephone him and would try to make a deal with him. Then he would take to social media and say, Prime Minister of India was begging for a fair deal. He was trying to persuade me. I like this Prime Minister of India. He's my friend. I don't want to hurt his feelings. So, in order to ensure that his feelings are not hurt, I have agreed to reduce tariffs, let's say from 25% to whatever. Since no such phone call came, he then sent a further barrage, including, for example, the one which you quoted, which is about it being India being a dead economy, then talking about punishment for Russian oil, then talking about how he hates BRICS and India is in BRICS, and that's not at all a good thing to be. And then finally, the last one, which he thought would bring a furious response from us, the land of Chanakya, which is inviting India to buy Pakistani oil, which will be uh, handled by an American company, which will go, explore, take possession, and then Pakistan will be in the dubious position of being client state of two countries. On one hand, China, and the other hand, Washington. So then they would have an interesting spectacle of two countries fighting over another sovereign member of the United Nations, that's Pakistan. However, there has been no reaction at all uh, to these barrage of messages. But the negotiations are going on. Um the negotiations are going on. In what form and where they have reached, he is complicating the task of his own negotiators and he is complicating the task of the Indian negotiators because when you start making threats in public to a sovereign country who is your strategic partner, so called, and who is your partner in quad, you make it difficult for the strategic partner to give any concession at all because everything will be scrutinized in India by the media, by the opposition, and even by the PM's own party to make sure that nobody can say that we have given in to foreign pressure. And President Trump should understand that a country that has been sensitive to the perception of being pressured from outside and caving in. When the European Union, when van der Leyen and when she went to Washington, she was strongly criticized by President Macron, who said that an independent entity of countries whose combined economies are very strong, they have caved in and other countries are now saying the same. She is going to find it very difficult to make this trade agreement stick because if they call for a meeting in Brussels at heads of state level and call for a vote on it, she may not win the vote because although this is what is called in the Lisbon Treaty a ceded competency, in other words, the nation states of EU have ceded the competency on trade to Brussels, they have not ceded sovereignty. So, if a country feels that its sovereignty has been violated, as Macron has said, others are now saying the same. So, it's not such a simple deal. And he thought that since he has been able to successfully pressure the European Union and some other countries, notably, for instance, Japan, he can do the same thing with India. But India is a very complex country. We are complex negotiators. We are tough negotiators. We don't give in to foreign pressure. We have never given in to foreign pressure when our economy was very weak. We never accepted IMF conditionalities when we were really down and out. I don't see an economy that is surging forward the way India is giving in. The answer to this pressure, Joyita, is to quickly finalize the FTA with EU and then finalize some more FTAs with other countries so that we can then divert our trade and come through this rocky phase until Trump sees reason and decides to do a deal with us, Joyita. Sorry for such a long answer to your
No,
question.
no, no, it's perfectly, it's absolutely great, absolutely. Now, the thing is, you see, do you think that he is getting this sort of, I mean, does it come naturally to his personality? His problem with this, he's bringing his personality to geopolitics, and basically, that's a very, I mean, mercurial character. And if you, because if you look at whatever, or he's doing primarily to please his base, at a time when the Epstein problem is cropping up and his base is unhappy. But because end of the day, even Japan is saying no, that is not the kind of money we are investing in the US. 98% of that money is loan. And the EU is now saying that countries have problems. And no, I cannot say for certain. Ursula von der Leyen, she's saying that I do not have that. Uh, I mean, we cannot invest that money. So, what is this all talk?
I think it's a combination of his personality, which is mercurial, as you said, and his very transactional style in geopolitics, which he has inherited from his years doing real estate business. Uh, when I was in New York, 86 to 89, there was the Trump shuttle. Trump had a casino. Trump was with his first wife. Um, he was exactly at that time what he was. He's the same now. The only difference is at that time he was a casino owner and he owned the New York Boston shuttle and stuff like that. Now he's president of the United States second term. So if he thinks that this transactional style, which he must have profited from by bullying his opponents in business, would work in this manner, I think that he is not paying attention also to his foreign policy experts in his team, who would surely have told him that there are some countries that never cave into pressure because they are democracies. They have very active media and people's participation. They have an opposition and they have a troubled history of colonialism where they were looted by a white colonizer. Their money and wealth was taken away from them, and it was with the greatest of difficulty that they obtained independence, although being partitioned. Given the tragic history of such a country, would such a country easily cave in to this kind of open bullying in public in front of the whole world? I think he must have been very badly advised to think that our prime minister can be bullied in this manner or that the entire nation state of India, that is Bharat, can be humiliated in this manner. It can't. What he's doing is he's damaging a great strategic partnership. He is damaging people to people relations. He is damaging, in fact, his own economy. Because if you look at it, if he puts huge tariffs on Indian pharmaceuticals, his own mass MAGA base will be greatly affected because Indian medicines and pharmaceuticals, which are in high demand in US, are half the price of what you have there. So if you want to increase the price by putting huge tariffs, yes, our pharmaceutical industry will take an initial hit. We will shift it to other markets as we are doing already. We've already started doing that, frankly, for the last 6 months. But what about the lower middle class, the kind of base, for instance, that J.D. Vance comes from, the depressed economy, so-called earlier depressed? Those people benefit by those very same Indian products that he's chasing, saying make them in United States. You can't make them in United States. Many of the components come from China actually. I don't see China providing those components to the United States. And for that matter, the last is a furious response by China just 20 minutes ago, saying that China will never, as a country that has gone through bullying, colonization, etc., which is very true, will never accept bullying and will stand up and give right back. And he should be careful because China owns a huge amount of American debt. No, everybody knows that. And the two economies are interlinked. If he tries to mess with China, China can really damage the American economy. For that matter, messing with us will not damage the American economy because we're not as powerful as China, but it will damage his mass base because some of the stuff that he gets dirt cheap from India, which is why the trade figures are in India's favor, is precisely because we provide stuff that is otherwise very, very expensive in the United States. If you go to US, Joyka, and if you are sick, the only thing they offer you is Tylenol. I hate the name Tylenol. It has been a remedy for the Americans for the last 50 years. They don't have the kind of stuff that we have in India. When you go to a chemist, you have such a vast variety of medicines for every possible ailment and malady. They will not offer you the Indian equivalent of Tylenol. I don't think we even have an Indian equivalent of Tylenol. It's been outdated for last 30 years. But that is the condition of that pharmaceutical industry. So when a person is very sick, they look at the stuff that comes from India, and that's a fact. And this is just one example. There are lots of other examples of a lot of stuff that comes from India, which is of high demand in the United States. So he should understand that this traffic is a two-way traffic. It's mutually beneficial. We have said we are going to buy more defense equipment from United States. We have already started buying much more oil from United States, but this is not the way to push us in a particular direction when we've already said that we are open to negotiation and that we are happy to buy more defense stuff from them. Why talk about a tried and trusted partnership that we've had with the former USSR and where we cannot give up in the kind of troubled neighborhood we have? We need assured defense supply and spare parts. But we have diversified enormously. Otherwise, how would people be incessantly talking of Rafales? Rafales are not Russian at all. Rafales are French. So I think that we have to ride this part through. It's a very rough journey for India, rough journey for our government, and for our people to be humiliated in public every 6 hours or so. It's very humiliating. And at some point, Joyita, it will definitely lead to the rise of anti-Americanism in India. That is very dangerous for the United States.
Yes, and I think that is already happening. It's not, I think, first of all, would you say that Trump has a problem understanding civilizational nations, number one? Because if you look at it, India is a civilizational nation. Even China, I mean, we may have our problems with China, but even China is a civilizational nation. And Trump is expecting, and civilizational nations that have colonized and are trying to reclaim their past and their glory. So I don't think the realization is there. Would
I
you?
don't, I don't know whether he ever studied history in school.
He studied casinos.
Because he keeps saying that India and Pakistan have had bilateral problems for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So how can an American president say such a thing and not know that Pakistan was created in 1947? So when you talk about knowing civilization, you must know history. I don't know whether he knows any history at all, except perhaps of his own country, because you very correctly pointed out that two great civilizations, India and China, and in fact, the whole of Asia for that matter, the Middle East for that matter, the the Egyptian civilization, the the Arab Indian Chinese connect millennia. You can't bully such people, and you can't expect such countries to even consider giving in public because their leaders will take the brunt of huge public wrath.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a democracy or a dictatorship like in China, The
Yeah.
point is, history is in the DNA, whether of every Indian or every Chinese, ethnic Chinese. And all of them in China too must have learned their history in school as we have. And such civilizations don't take kindly to such straightforward, open bullying, which you could talk like in a football match, what the Americans call brawling. It is unheard of to send such messages, highly insulting messages, asking India to buy oil from Pakistan, etc. Um, Calling the field marshal and giving him, I presume, halal biryani in the White House. Then an American, very, very senior American general accepting a medal from the Pakistanis in Islamabad. These are all signals to do what? People have asked me, "Ki, ma'am, is he trying to use the Pakistani card against India?" So I asked them, what Pakistani card? What is it? It's a semi-failed state, and we thrashed them in Operation Sindoor, and then we killed the terrorists who were all Pakistani in Operation Mahadev. And Trump keeps claiming that he dangled tariffs before us and said, "Be good boys, stop firing at each other. I'll give you a good trade deal." Then he's contradicting himself. If he if he wants his claim to be believed, that in India decided to be a good boy or a good girl and accept his bullying and stop firing in return for a good trade deal, then why is he doing it? How does he expect anyone to believe him? It's a direct contradiction of what he himself is saying, isn't it, Joyita?
Absolutely. And the thing is, you see, so do you think it's actually this whole thing started post Operation Sindoor? So was that the trigger? I mean, is he actually? I mean, how big a factor is this that when he wants us to say that you are the one who brought that ceasefire, but we are not talking about it? Would that have triggered all this, wrathful reaction?
Could be. If you heard the Indian opposition yesterday and day before in Parliament, as you must have, there was one famous quote which said that, "Tell Donald to shut up or shut down McDonald's." I actually thought that for a change, that was a good, really good one from the Indian opposition. I must say, I was impressed. I said, "This is a really good one." And if the American embassy reports it, if they dare, back to the White House, they would say that his claims have not just been rejected by the Indian government, but by the Indian opposition, who are telling the government, "You should have told him very rudely to shut up," which we did not. We thought that a courteous response is much safer given his mercurial temperament. Others
So
have also
yeah.
asked me that maybe another mistake we made was, apart from denying that he brought about a ceasefire, we didn't nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize, which the
Oh God.
Pakistani.
Oh God.
You must remember that, Joyita. He has an obsession with the Nobel Peace Prize. He has now taken credit for bringing about a ceasefire between Cambodia and Thailand, which was orchestrated by ASEAN under the chairmanship of Malaysia and Mahathir. It is Malaysia that orchestrated the ceasefire and made the two warring parties shake hands. We've seen it on television, but he says he orchestrated the ceasefire. So it's not just with India, Pakistan. It's it seems to be, and because the Russians have not agreed to his attempted bullying on a ceasefire, so now the Russians have become bad boys. Anybody who does any business with the Russians have to be punished, and that includes China and India. It's a simple.
So
So you
yeah.
may be right that we contradicted him very politely. If he said it 22 times, we denied it very politely at the level of EAM first, twice, and then in Parliament at a higher level, when we were asked by the Indian opposition, naturally we had to explain that it was done by the two DGMOs at the request of the Pakistani DGMO, which is well documented. And nobody in India, whether it's government or opposition, believes that we caved in and did a ceasefire. They understand very clearly that we were the victors. And if the Pakistanis try it a second time, we will give much worse than this time, because now we will target many more targets that we left out last time, because we did not want to have an extended conflict with Pakistan. We just wanted to make it clear that terror and terrorism is not acceptable in India, and will get a very strong response. Just as PM said, that terrorism and water cannot flow together, blood and water cannot flow together. That is exactly what it is all about. So there may be further conflicts
So
in
do
which
you,
claim again that he has brought about a ceasefire. I'm
so
sure.
do you think the Quad summit will happen in India? Will he be coming to India for that, or is it going to be a? And I'm certain he will stop over at Pakistan before that. Or are we going to have a Quad? Do we see that in the foreseeable future, sometime in September?
We will have the Quad summit. Why should we cancel the Quad summit? We will have the Quad summit. Our Quad allies have not asked us to cancel the summit. And if President Trump doesn't come, he will send somebody else. There is a lot of talk going around that Vance has fallen out of favor.
Yeah.
Whether that's uh, just media talk or not, but he has not been visible the way he used to be earlier in the last couple of weeks. And since, as you said, Trump is very mercurial, he fell out with Elon Musk, but Vance was much more careful with him. So maybe he'll send Vance, maybe he'll send a Secretary of State, because for United States to boycott a Quad summit, and Quad is the creation of United States, will not be looked at well by Quad's allies, and is a direct insult to India. Does he
Yes.
really want to? Does he really want to take it to such an extent? I don't see us cancelling the Quad summit under any circumstance at all, Joyeeta, because cancelling the Quad summit would mean that we have caved in to Trump's tantrums. We're not going to do that. If he doesn't want to come, it's fine. If he wants to go to Pakistan and come here just to insult us, that's also fine. No problem. Go to Pakistan. Eat our halal meat and shake the field marshal's hand. No problem.
Right.
Get insulted by the Baluchis who've already insulted him. It's a very insulting message. I must send it to you on WhatsApp. They, the Baluchis have really insulted him. He still wants to go there and talk about Pakistani oil resources. Well, good luck to him. He should actually ask Xi Jinping on the kind of treatment that China has got in Baluchistan, and then think 100 times that he really want body bags to come back home, then he will really be in big trouble, even bigger trouble than what he is now with Epstein. I think also that he is trying to divert attention from the Epstein issue. The
So,
the the autographed his autograph, his painting of a I don't know,
naked woman.
nude woman, a poem which is rather in poor taste. All that is with a particular individual who is threatening to give it to the media anytime. Uh, in other words, that individual is blackmailing him. And he is furiously rebutting the blackmail, but he must be knowing that if it becomes public and you give it to a handwriting expert, it can be proved beyond any doubt that it's his handwriting, because he did it with a fountain pen. It's not typed on a computer. It's a sketch done with a it's a pen and ink sketch. So I would say actually that President Trump is in very big trouble domestically, and that's why all this is happening to us.
So,
If
yeah, final question. Uh, in what shape India US relations are likely to be once Trump leaves office, if there is a relationship left at all?
no, there will be a relationship left, because the India-US relationship has never been at the level of just the heads of state and government. It's a relationship. people to people. There's a huge Indian diaspora there. There are so many American companies which have Indian CEOs. There is a huge amount of Indian human resource investment in US. Similarly, there's a lot of American investment in India. There is a very vigorous business partnership with the United States and India. Uh, so one individual alone, even if he is um, behaving in a most unreasonable manner, to put it diplomatically, cannot destroy the relationship. He can. Let's look at the way Nixon behaved when Bangladesh got liberated. Nixon and Kissinger almost destroyed the relationship, but they could not destroy it. That relationship was from pre-colonial time, when the then American president offered food aid to Winston Churchill for the Great Bengal famine 3 times. And 3 times Churchill turned him down, saying, "Let these Bengalis starve to death. It doesn't bother me at all." So that kind of relationship, a historical relationship, where India has admired American democracy, where India believes that US stands for certain values, that can't be destroyed by one individual. I would say that when the midterms happen and the hot air goes out of him, the relationship will start going back to normal. Once he leaves, regardless of who succeeds him, Joyita, it doesn't matter who succeeds him. It will not be Donald Trump, and therefore we will be able to deal with a normal US president who understands statecraft, rules of diplomacy, red lines which should or should not be crossed with strategic partners, or for that matter, with sovereign member states of the United Nations, regardless of their size or importance. I think it will be business as usual. We just have to ride it through. Midterms are not that far away. In the midterms, if he takes a beating, as I think he will, the hot air will come out. Because most of it is hot air, let's face it.
Okay. Thank you, Ambassador Mukherjee, so much for this discussion. And okay, thank you, viewers, for watching. Until the next time.